The reason that I'm running for the United States Senate is first and foremost because I care very deeply about my state. I understood when I was elected as a judge to the Common Pleas Court in Franklin County, it was like I had a revelation one afternoon when I was working on my drug court docket, which I had to work very hard around very diverse judges to be able to get a program like this started. And literally we took 60 people from the community because there'd been resistance to it in the court. And we formed first a 6-person steering committee, grew it to 60 people, divided that committee into 6 groups of 10, and people worked for 2 years on their lunch hours on all the aspects that we would need to successfully start up and operate both the drug court in the Common Pleas Court and a mental health court in the municipal court. And when I had the privilege of actually operating that docket and started to see people's lives change and started to see how, with the right leadership, that political leadership that focuses on betterment, on progress, on the people that they represent, really there's almost a magic that happens when people feel empowered to do things that they never imagined that they could do. And that was the way it was for the people who helped form this operation, and then that's what I started to see with people in the community. Oftentimes I was dealing with people with co-occurring disorders, and to see people start to get their dignity back, get their lives back, get their children back, get houses and jobs, and start to give back to the community, I realized this is public service, and I want to do this for as long as I can. It was a difficult decision to leave the Common Pleas Court and to run for Secretary of State, but after looking at the 2004 election in Ohio and looking at the way the rest of the nation looked at Ohio with such dismay and even disgust at sometimes, I said, well, somebody needs to clean this up, and I think I'm just the one to do it. And there were times during the 2008 election when I said, wow, this is public service. Because there were times when you're trying to bring about change that you please no one, and that you have to have the courage to keep forging on with the strength of your convictions, to do everything within your power to try to make things right. And you learn a lot along the way. You learn how to negotiate with people who don't agree with you. You learn how to partner with people who don't agree with you. And from the experiences that I gained working with 17 Common Pleas Court judges, of which only 5 were Democrats, and getting them to unanimously agree to what I wanted to do, and the experiences that I've had working with 88 county boards of elections where it's 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, and generally it's the county chairs that sit on each of the boards, so it's a little radioactive sometimes. And then you are the tie-breaking vote, and I said, these are perfect skills to go to the U.S. Senate. Now, looking at where we are at this time in our history, this is a time where we need a Senate that will be a little bit more than deliberative and collegial, where we need people who will study the issues, understand not just how they are esoterically, but how they really affect people's lives, and who will not be afraid to take a stand. And let me tell you, having served as a judge where I was not allowed to talk about issues, and having served as Secretary of State, where in my role I really tried to stand back on the issues in case it became something on the ballot, like you don't hear me talking about casino gambling. When I had the chance to actually start working on issues in the Senate campaign, well, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. And as I travel Ohio, and Rick goes with me a lot, whether it's been in 2005 or any of the years past that, or even now, we are just so struck by the diversity of Ohio. And one great example, Rick and I went to Meigs County in 2005, and all the Democratic Party committee people brought the desserts, and 2 women cooked the food for about 100 people. And at the end of the meeting, they stood up and they sang "God Bless America" a cappella, and they meant it. And then I will also tell you they had a Sonny and Cher Appalachian duo who sang a song called "A Rep Named Ted" because he was running for governor. It was quite entertaining. Every time Ted ran for another term, they added a verse. But and then we went to Barberton in Summit County to the Slovene Center, and they served cabbage rolls, and they had an accordion band. And then we went to Oak Harbor up in Ottawa County, and they had a bluegrass band. In Columbus, they had a big band. And we said, my goodness, this is all Ohio. And it explains why our state is always sort of at the center of things. In 2006, we already understood it was about the economy when it came to the federal races, while so many of the other states were still talking about the war, which is important and continues to be important. And so when you look at the Massachusetts race yesterday, and you think, what will be how will this affect Ohio? I suggest we're probably past that in Ohio. In the process of this campaign, I've understood that it is about people, first and foremost. And whether people will say now, should Democrats be moving more to the center? No. Democrats should be focusing on the issues that are at the center of people's lives, and they should be listening to what people say about how policies, how conditions affect them. And then they should be talking to them about the ideas they have and putting that together with other research, other resources. And let's face it, when you're in the United States Senate, you have access to some of the best minds and writers and thinkers in the world. But yet, some of the best minds and writers and thinkers sit right here. And I grew up in Columbus, born in Springfield. My family really came from rural roots. We've been in Ohio since the late 1700s, early 1800s. I know one relative got a land grant for service in the Revolutionary War. And I have this sense of the common sense that comes from the rural areas, but also what it's like to live in a city, since I grew up in Columbus. Attended Columbus Public Schools, attended Miami University. In fact, my sophomore and junior years in college, I was a student caseworker and worked for Mount Auburn Family Services here in Cincinnati my junior year, and had 3 older women who were my clients, and all in one day wanted to have a meal with me. That was quite a day. So the work that my upbringing in the city, but also my roots in the country, give me a good sense of the great diversity of the people of Ohio. The issues that are first and foremost here in the state are, of course, jobs and the economy. But it's very, very difficult to separate those issues from healthcare, from fair trade, from things like, are we at the 1 minute yet? I see you getting ready to hold it up. And it's very difficult to separate all those issues because they're interrelated. Some people have said, why would the president work on health care first? Well, probably the political climate was that get it done as quickly as you can before we get into an election year. But really, if you think about it, I started a law practice in the corner of my bedroom, and I literally know what it's like to do the withholding of taxes and to worry about how you're going to pay for health care. We grew our law firm, after Rick joined me, to 32 people. And believe me, if an employer didn't have to pay for health care or so much for health care, they could hire more people. And when it comes to trade issues, the last thing that we need to be doing is not dealing with trade, so that as we bring more jobs in, it's like putting water into a bucket with a hole in it as more go someplace else because of our trade and our tax issues. We have things like marriage equality, making sure we protect a woman's right to choose. There are so many issues, and the thing that you want with your senator is someone who will be straightforward, honest with you, willing to hear opposing point of views, tell you how they reach their conclusions, but first and foremost, be willing to be straight up with you, because if people don't trust their leaders, they don't trust their government. And I can tell you as your Secretary of State, what I want more than anything else is for our democracy to be fully healthy with full participation. So I hope that you will consider favorably my candidacy for the U.S. Senate. I look forward to answering your questions, and thank you again for taking the time to be here tonight, and to the sponsors of this program for doing this very unique and cutting-edge kind of forum.